सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्म विद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च। Yesterday we had a broad understanding of the function of the various patterns that we find in the Upanishads in general, and understanding the purpose of the various common features of all the Upanishads. And what are they? The stories, the characters in the form of student and teacher. Sometimes there's also a narrator. The Shruti herself becomes Sutradharini. She narrates, and so even here sometimes we see the Shruti talking. And then we saw what is the purpose, what are the purposes of having the stories, what functions do they serve. We also saw that the various methodologies deployed by the teaching tradition, the lineage, has all been culled from the Upanishads themselves. We saw that in detail. Some of those methodologies were discussed. And the reason why we begin an in-depth study with the Kathopanishad is precisely because it has a wonderful showcasing of everything that we talked about yesterday. All the things that we talked about are there. I mean, the story is there, characters are there, all the teaching methodologies we will be seeing are there. And the neti, iti, adhyaropa and apavada and what else? So many things, they're all there. And therefore, this is the study is begun with this. For this reason, one of the primary reasons. And another reason why the study is begun with it is because it is easy to understand. Not that other things are not easy to understand. I mean, there's not a hard Upanishad and easy Upanishad. The knowledge is based on preparation. And when someone starts to begin the study, and the preparation is, we can say that the preparation grows with the exposure. And in fact, that's what he's going to say in the beginning Bhashya. Adi Shankara is going to say that. Not in the exact same way, but he's going to make that point. That he calls it vitrishna. Trishna means thirst, longing. Vitrishna, vigata, trishna, yasmat. From whom the Trishna has departed. And for the Trishna, the longing to depart, I mean, there's only so much one can do, especially in Kali Yuga, as he points out elsewhere, to prepare. A few knocks from the school of life, and then what else? Some funerary ground vairagya, called jihasa vairagya. And then what else? Kind of apathy towards life and all that it doesn't have to offer. If it had to offer, then this vairagya wouldn't come. The fox and grape story. Yeah. The fox found the grapes to be sour without tasting them. That's the whole idea. And not because of some great viveka vairagya, because after several attempts, it was a loser in regards to the grapes. So like this, the foxy jiva also comes to this situation, with this understanding but it's not really an understanding. It can become a nascent understanding, but the apathy is a very strong precursor of Vitrishna, this which what he's going to call this absence of longing. So the idea is that the Upanishads are not in themselves hard or easy or boring or interesting, because these are all subjective terminologies. They are not objective. It's not like calculus 101 and 201 and 301, and it's not like that. Here it's just a question of preparation. The extent of the mental/emotional preparation and maturity that one brings to the learning situation is directly concomitant to the understanding that one can gain. So this is a beginning Upanishad because it is assumed that the preparation also is low, because this is a preparation that kind of you have more of an appetite the more you are exposed to this. Yeah, that's how it is. The appetite also grows along with the number of dishes made. Kathopanishad is dished out. Oh, I want more, like Shvetaketu. Bhuya eva bhagavan vijñāpayatu. Please say this again. Please, more. Little more, some more. What did you say? Some more. And sometimes, like the stories. If I say, oh, the story of the simply sitting Swami, and everybody, without even conspiring to do so, puts on a blank look. Why? Because the desire to hear it again. So same thing with the Upanishads. There is this great desire to keep hearing it. So in a way what happens is that the desire to learn grows with the study. It's kind of ironical, but that's what happens. Paradoxical. That unless I'm exposed, I don't have the desire to learn. And then, how will I be exposed if I don't have the desire to learn? Well, by some, and he's going to say that also, by maybe previous punya. And then what? Then when I do learn, then what's the point of having desire to learn when I'm already learning? Well, that's how it works. This is how it is. So, because usually it's the same thing with eating. As you are eating, the desire to eat more comes. Similarly, the Upanishad is also like that. So this Upanishad, we begin with this because it has, like I said, everything that we discussed yesterday about the features of what makes an Upanishad, and what are the forms and what are the functions and the teaching pedagogy that is deployed. Everything we studied yesterday, and so this is showcasing all of that. Plus it has an additional appeal, which is it has a long storyline. Yeah, the longer the story, the longer the waking time in the class. That's all it is. So that is why this is studied in the beginning, And there is also in the tradition, perhaps this is something, sometimes things we are giving the reasons, but all texts are not picked up, just all texts don't have a reason. Sometimes texts are picked up out of necessity, like Tattva Bodha. The history of Tattva Bodha? Tattva Bodha that you are studying just now was nowhere in any ashram's 3-year course thing. Nowhere at all. And then it was all necessitated by an event of a what's that? A Swami coming to Pujya Swamiji and saying, I have been invited to go to America. So I have to give some lectures there. And I have no idea what to say. When are you going? In 3 weeks. So, can you teach me Tattvamasi? That was his request. And of course, 3 weeks is, what to teach so that, that person can teach without making any mistakes. This was the whole idea. So Swamiji just went into his bookshelf and just picked something out, and it happened to be Tattva Bodha. Some old, thing, old copy. And he taught that, and of course the Swami went abroad and became a big hit. Both the Swami and the Tattva Bodha both became a big hit. And not only that, Tattva Bodha for long-term ashram course study became extremely popular after that. In all the ashrams it started to be taught. This is a long story. So you see, there was Tattva Bodha is definitely a beginning, beginning book. But it was not so much by design, it was just accident. And similarly, we don't know what kind of accidents, but although it seems like we can make a solid reasoning why to study this Upanishad in the beginning, but we don't know what other happy accidents led to the tradition adopting this, as the first. Like, for example, when it is said that when Adi Shankara was wanting to write a commentary on the Sahasranama, he wanted to write a commentary on the Lalita Sahasranama, which is 1,000 names of the goddess Lalita. And he asked a brahmachari, we don't know which one, to go and get the relevant manuscripts. And what did he do? It's all tied up in cloth, and you have to look at it and ascertain this is what needs to be written about, studied about, whatever it is. This is what the teacher is asking. And then he took it. And then Adi Shankara said, no, I didn't ask for Vishnu Sahasranama. Bring Lalita Sahasranama. Okay. He went off. He took that back, went off. And then from another pile of things somewhere, and he said, this time I've really looked at it. Please take. And then Adi Shankara was busy doing something else. He said, keep it there, later on I'll see. So perhaps when he had a moment after lunch or something, he looked at it. What was it? Vishnu Sahasranama, second time. Then, he said, no, I asked for Lalita Sahasranama. And then he thought maybe changing the brahmachari will remedy the situation. But what happened? The second brahmachari, for the third time, brought the same set of manuscripts. Then he said, okay, this is a message from Bhagavan that this is what I need to comment on. And that's how, see, there are so many happy accidents, why certain things happen. And so, even though we can make a rock solid case for why we should study this Upanishad first, there may be some other reasons, that some juicy stories that are not being told about why this Upanishad has this particular place in the long-term study of Vedanta. So anyway, with these words we have seen the Shanti Mantra, and the Shanti Mantra is very important to chant because, as I said, there are so many obstacles. And you see, the obstacle, when it comes calling, it doesn't come with a calling card. Hello, my name is obstacle. First name is also obstacle. Surname is also obstacle. My name is obstacle. And I have come to make your life, miserable. On a scale of 1 to 10, I will be operating. And I have come to take you away from the studies. No obstacle comes with this kind of an overt agenda. In fact, it looks so cute in the beginning, and it looks so, enchanting and beguiling. Ehi, come to me. and it says, I'm so harmless. Look, I'm just a cup of coffee. How can I be an obstacle? In fact, I'll help you wake up during class. I'm going to help you in the class, and I'm going to help you in the future classes. This is how an obstacle comes. It does not have everything up front and wearing its agenda on its sleeves, and it doesn't say my name is obstacle and I have bothered brahmacharis from the beginning of time till right now, and wait till you see what all I can do. And my whole, what should I say, repertoire is endless. My repertoire of how I can bother people, snatch them, take their minds away from the studies. You don't even know what you're dealing with. If an obstacle said that, you can barricade the doors and the windows, the eyes and the ears, and then you can, stay at home and not answer the bell. Correct? But obstacle doesn't come like that. Obstacle comes as a small, harmless little thing. Yeah. What can this little thing do? Nothing. You can't even look at it without a microscope. How can it, what power does it have? But we all know the power of bugs. Within the body, they are small, ubiquitous. What can they do? Well, they can gang up. When they can pile up one on top of each other, and one thing, it is true, may be very harmless, but then a string of them together, and they just, prasabham harati manaha. Harati means steal away. Which? Manaha. Manaha means mind. They steal away the mind from the study. So therefore the Shanti mantra is of, even though we chant it every day, and when we are having several classes, several times a day, even though we do that, it must not be taken for granted. Because, who knows what kind of lurking obstacle in the form of karma, in the form of, papa, in the form of some desire, in the form of some uninterrogated issue within, can come in the form of doubts, fears, and attack at any time. And how does the obstacle attack? We have to really look at this. It doesn't attack directly. It eats away at those aspects of preparation that one has acquired with such difficulty. Yeah. It eats away at shamadama and says this class is intolerable, I need to leave now. It eats away at that includes titiksha. Intolerable, when you say, it includes titiksha as well. But mostly what does it do? It eats away at the shraddha. It eats away at the reverence, the devotion to the teaching, to the teacher, to the text that I bring to gain this knowledge. It attacks that. That is how it operates. And so whenever the shraddha is, feels like it's balancing on a precipice, instead of thinking that the teaching is not working, which is the place where I want to go first, or instead of blaming myself that, oh, I'm not prepared, oh, the teaching is not working, oh, this is boring, or the teacher is funny, not in a nice way, and and I don't like the teacher, or I don't like the teaching, I don't like myself, because Shraddha is that anugraha. It is that operation, it's that operation of that grace which seems like a miracle, which seems invisible. But so Shraddha has to be kept, in ship shape. It has to do push-ups every day. It has to do yoga. It has to be kept in ship shape, otherwise it's in danger. There is that endangerment of Shraddha, and Shraddha is always coming under the endangered species list out of these 6 things. Yeah. If these 6 things, what is that 6-pack, were a bunch of animals, Shraddha would come under the endangered species. Definitely. It's in the danger of extinction. And that is how an obstacle comes a-calling. It eats into the Shraddha, so that you start having self-doubt. What am I doing? Why am I studying this? What did I sign up for? Why? How? Why should I do this? I don't need this. I know everything. Why should I want this? And what has happened? So many people in the stores that I meet who haven't studied Kathopanishad, they are leading fruitful lives. They don't even know what is Bhashya. Go to Home Depot or Starbucks. What is Bhashya? Ask them. Since this is Eugene and people are tolerant, they will just say, okay, would you like me to buy you a cup of coffee? Will that help you? That's all they will ask and go away. In other places, if you go and say, I'd like to, discuss some Bhashya with you, they will call people in coats, white coats. This is what it is. So then you start thinking, all those teeming millions of people, they don't even know what Kathopanishad is. They seem to be fine and they're laughing, joking and having a good time. And here I am sitting for 4 classes a day. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get a life? Yeah. So this is one way the Ashraddha is attacked. This is one way. You have to notice the ways. I can't recount all the ways because some of them are subjective to your own mental makeup and to the ways different tiny little brains operate, with their past. Shraddha attack is I can just sort of touch on the broad features of it, the common ways. So this is one way. It attacks the mind, it attacks the person totally. And then there are certain other ways. What are the other ways? Let us look at them. The other way that Shraddha is attacked, the obstacle comes by attacking the Shraddha, is to say that the text is in Sanskrit. The Bhashya is in double Sanskrit, correct? Yeah, meaning doubly difficult. And then what? Sanskrit belongs to which country? India. Where is India? 12,000 miles away. Yeah, if you measure. Yeah. 12,000 miles away. And how old is this knowledge? Older than the great-grandmother. We know that. And it is so old that you cannot even think about it. And those people living there in that particular area, in that particular culture, with those particular customs, strange as they are, for them, sure this is relevant. Sitting there in Adi Shankara's time and then, eating berries and roots and fruits and, living off of that and then walking all over India, which is what they did, and sitting by the Ganga and studying is fine and okay, fine. It belongs to those people over there. And then what? They are sitting and even now and studying. Let them study. It's after all their culture, their historical, the Upanishad is their, what is that? UNESCO treasure. Now UNESCO is, what is that? Making everything, protecting all these ancient cultures. So fine. It's like the Egyptians can sit and gaze at the pyramids. And here they will sit and gaze at the teacher at the teaching. Fine, let them do that. But what is it going to do to me who is not Indian, can't even pass off as Indian and not Hindu, and don't actually. And and so far away. Okay, even if I am a Hindu, I am still so far away, far removed from all these things. And not knowing Sanskrit, culturally irrelevant. And all these customs and yajnas and first portion of Veda, second portion of Veda, first of all that there is Veda, I didn't know. And then that it has 2 portions, who cares? And then that first portion is this and all these fire rituals, what fire? Only fire ritual I know is bonfire. Yeah, and that I don't have to know anything about. And so all these things, this teaching may be applicable to those who sit in enjoyment of it, but it has no power to transform my life because it is culturally irrelevant. This is another way the obstacle to which attacks Shraddha comes a calling. Here is where the Shraddha has attacked what? I mean, what is attacked is one's Shraddha in the universality of the application of the teaching. The universality of the teaching. Oh, the teaching is universal? Yes. Why didn't you tell us that before? That's why it took such a long time to talk about this. Oh, you mean you discussed this? Yes. Where? Please go and listen to all the lectures from the previous so many lectures. So this is all about the universal, universal human quest. Okay, I forgot. You didn't forget. What happened? Shraddha came and was attacked. That's what happened. That's what happened. When one fails to see the relevance of the revelation of this knowledge as it applies to anyone, anywhere, at any time, of this timeless knowledge, that means the Shraddha in the book has been compromised. By what? Obstacle. What else? The obstacle. This is not pertinent to me. This is fine for those, and then this is another part B of this obstacle. This is fine for those who want to be teachers. They should do Bhashya. But for my own liberation, I don't need this. I don't need this. I've attended enough classes. Kathopanishad story I know like this. Yeah. So the Bhashya is only if you want to really indulge in whether it is quip or this or that, or Ghanj or quip, or what kind of what is that called? Pratyaya. What is Pratyaya translation? Suffix. What kind of suffix it is? All this. Then only I have to, if I have to teach this, I have to know this. Nobody studies Vedanta to become a teacher. That's the wrong reason to study. No one. In fact, the best of teachers don't study this for becoming a teacher. If you study that with that view, then the knowledge will not come. Guaranteed. I can put a seal and sign it, blindfolded. Guaranteed. Why? Because the knowledge is enough for you to feel free of samsara. And having the agendum that I'm going to use this to teach others is already, an extension of samsara there. So the Shraddha in the book is overpowered by the obstacle of various shades, and the common obstacle in that, the common feature of that obstacle is this is not speaking to me because it's not relevant to me. So therefore what? There is a shutdown. There is a lockdown of the listening process. Because I'm not paying attention. The body is in the class, but some language. I never use any Sanskrit word without defining it first. So that is not an excuse. That is not an excuse. So this is another form of how the obstacles, what kind of obstacles are these? Adhyatmika obstacles. We saw the three kinds yesterday. So the Adhyatmika, the obstacle centered on the I, attacks one's own Shraddha. So that is the second form one can expect it to come. Then the third form that it comes is suddenly having feelings of either being neglected or being targeted by the teacher. And the teacher here is not participating in this. This is what is called what did we call it yesterday? Transference, projection. And when the projection is maintained for a length of time, and the projections are based on seeing something in the teacher that it is not there, it is called transference. So for now, let us just use the word projections because they come and go. So the projections on the teacher are another way in which the Shraddha is attacked. When the teacher becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of projections, naturally. And sometimes, people tell me, you are not looking at me. I said, but you are taking the class online. Where to look, And that is the whole idea. So if you look, it could be a problem sometimes, the other way. And then the person, and regardless of whether the people want the teacher to look at them or don't want the teacher to look at them, they have the habit of sitting behind a tall person in class. This is a setup. Yeah. You find a basketball player and sit behind the basketball player, and then you are playing dodgeball, trying to see if the teacher is looking at you or not. Trying to see if you are being noticed. How will you be noticed if you are sitting somewhere in the back and, far away? No, but I'm afraid to come close and sit right in front. Well, that is something you have to deal with. That is something you have to deal with. So first the person sits far away and then has this setup that I'm not being, engaged. So there are two tracks with a teacher projection. One track is I'm not being noticed, I'm not being acknowledged, I'm not being approved of. Really speaking, I'm not being approved of. Because the teacher's job is not to approve. Really. The teacher's job is to teach. And what does the teacher teach? That you are the most approvable thing in the whole universe. You don't need approval from outside, including from the teacher. Yeah, but, So, this need for approval, when it overpowers the Shraddha, what happens is that one starts feeling neglected. In the sense, and that if you really unpack the suitcase called neglect, what comes out is that I'm not being noticed enough, approved enough, engaged enough. This is what the whole thing is. And the flip side of that is what? I'm being targeted. I'm being criticized. But it's the same thing. Same lack of self-approval comes into avataras. The first avatara is what? I'm not being engaged. I'm not being approved of. I'm not being patted on the back. I'm not being noticed. I'm working so hard to come to the classes. And nobody is saying, oh, it's good you came. So that is the first way in which the Shraddha towards the teaching is attacked and the teacher. And the other way is the opposite side of that. I'm being noticed too much, but in a wrong way. I'm not, always the teacher is finding fault. Always the teacher is not giving me this or that. Not only the teacher is not approving, but the teacher is what? Disapproving. The teacher is so disapproving, so hard to please, And if you take this material to the office of the therapist, then the therapist will be very jubilant. The therapist will jump up and down and clap his or her hands and ask you one simple question, which I'm going to divulge now, so that you can save your money and not go to the therapist and ask yourself that question. And what is the question the therapist is likely to ask? About that? Yeah, not only how do you, but before that, when was the first time you felt like this? That's enough. Because that itself gives the space. Oh, this is not the first time I'm feeling like this. Even if you have no memory of when you felt like this, and likely that one won't. Even if you have no memory of when was the first time you felt like this, because one was in the thumb sucking stage, one has no memory when one felt like this. But the question itself, if one is intelligent enough, shows that, oh my God, this is a feeling, this is actually a throw up. This is not the first time the feelings are not happening. This is a throw up. Like, when the baby drinks the milk, it has to be burped. If it is not burped properly, what happens? It spits up. So this is a spit up of some previous ingestation of criticism. Yeah. Or neglect. So the whole thing is a spit up. That's why the Mother Upanishads embrace. See, this is all going back to the first class. This is all it is. So this patting and burping is the processing of anything that could not be ingested, assimilated. Because along with the food, too much air has been taken in, The hot air of the egos of the caregivers has been assimilated but cannot be assimilated, has been taken in and has to be spit out, processed properly. So you can save the money of going to the therapist and ask yourself this question each time in the teaching situation. This is how the Shraddha is, maintained despite all these things that can come to the fore. And also if you're just attending one class in a blue moon, which happens when? Once a year at best. Blue moon is a month when there are 2 full moons. That's why it's called blue moon. Once in a blue moon, because rarely does a month have 2 full moons. Rarely happens. Once in 2 years, once in a year. So if you attend classes once in a year, this is a wonderful paradoxy of Vedanta. Let's say you attend class once a year. There are people who come only to the Guru, who come only to the Mahashivaratri talk, or the Guru Purnima talk, or the Christmas talk, or the New Year talk. Once they'll come. So the chances of this projection happening are 0 to 1%. Oh, so that's the way to do it. Don't come to class. No projections. Simple. Like how to treat a chronic headache. Go to the executioner. Chop off the head. No more headache. This is not a solution or a resolution to this problem. Oh, then what do I have to do? What one has to do is to understand that the closer the contact and the increase in the frequency of the contact, the greater the chances for the projection. So 4 classes a day. Oh, I think I'm not coming after the break. And the family people will also tell you this, And there is in fact some very strange proverbs not coming from the teachers, coming from frightened people. They say, and how does it go? Don't stand behind a donkey. Why? That is very easy to understand. Why? It will kick. Don't stand in front of the Guru. Why? Same reason. You will be kicked by the words of the Guru. So don't stand behind the donkey and in front of a Guru. This is gross ignorance. It is collective, unconscious speaking. And a number of people will say that. Go do namaskar from far away. Throw some dakshina, give some money, because your karma will go. And then leave, run away. Don't go too close to gurus, don't go too close to ashrams, don't go too close to anything. Just from far away, just do namaskar, worship from far away and leave before anything can happen. This is the collective fright of a culture that is, that is unfortunately seeing that it's easy to succumb to this, to be far away rather than deal with one's projections. Remember that the Guru is not causing the projections, nor causing them to come out. Your own Shraddha is bringing them out for introspection, interrogation, healing, which is part of the integration of the inner child with the adult who is studying. The adult is studying and the inner child is clamoring for attention. The adult wants the teacher, the inner child wants the parents. This is why the projections come up. Because it's 2 people wanting 2 different things. It's like you can't go to the grocery store and the toy store at the same time, bookstore and toy store at the same time. The adult is in a bookstore, has adhyatma pursuits. You know, the adult is in the bookstore looking at self-help books, Upanishad, etc., wants to be introspective, wants to study. The adult, in other words, is looking for the teacher and the teaching and understands cognitively the importance of Shraddha and the importance of wanting, and of the need for having a teacher, how this knowledge cannot be intuited any other way, and how even the book is useless because the book just says things which I cannot understand. That this is the handling of a means of knowledge, and means of knowledge means this in a way is a pair of eyes for that which the eyes cannot see, namely the seer. The adult understands this at least cognitively, and even if all the facets of this may not be understood, cognitively is willing to go the extra mile to say, let me give this a chance. Let me give this pramana a chance to unlock this ignorance, to unlock the mind and rid the ignorance. So the Upanishad is like a cleaning crew. The mind is full of debris, and then the Shraddha is like a key that, helps this to unlock. Yeah, because you have to let the cleaners in.
Crew.
Yeah. Huh?
Key for the cleaning crew.
Cleaning crew, yeah. You have to let the cleaners in. So the Shraddha is the key, literally and figuratively, that opens this dusty mind so that the cleaning crew can come with some Windex and, Mindex and everything and shine it up so that the sun of self-knowledge shines in the surface. That's what it is. So here, cognitively, the adult is understanding all of this. And the child that has the frozen needs of never having had a loving parent or that's one side. The other side is memories of constantly having critical parents. And those issues, when one doesn't interrogate or is not in a readiness to interrogate, they come and spit up on the teaching situation. And who is the loser? Oneself. The adult, unfortunately, is the loser because the child continues having a tantrum. Whether the adult is 2 or 92, the child remains 1.5 years old, sometimes prelingual. So therefore, this is the way the Shraddha comes under attack, and how by the adult forcibly being led to identify with the tantrums, the fears and the feelings of the inner child. This is what is called the projection. So the projection has nothing to do with the teacher. The teacher is a surface. When you look at the teaching at the teacher becomes a mirror, and when I don't want to look at myself, and the teacher becomes too much, and so this comes in so many ways. This spit up has to be addressed, for which a lot of grace is required, for which a lot of this obstacle is very, very insidious, because the feeling seems so real, and you can have a whole list of incidents. This is when the teacher did not look at me. This is when he did this. This is when he criticized. This is what he did. This is what this is what it is. But then why not have the projections? That's not this is the paradoxy I was telling you about. The greater the Shraddha, this is the paradoxy. The greater the Shraddha in the teacher and the teachings, the greater the chance of the projections to come out. But they have to be welcomed and seen for what they are and dealt with on one's own, or with the help of a therapist or some other guru bhais, guru behens. That's why we study in a group. That's what it is. But if you start believing in it, then what happens is that it comes in the way of really giving this knowledge a chance to take off. It's fine to have the feeling. So paradoxically, that projection which is brought out because of the Shraddha, Because I have full trust, all the inner child comes out to play and to tyrannize. In other words, it's finally safe enough to be unsafe. It is safe enough to be unsafe, and because it is safe enough to be unsafe, that safety is the Shraddha. Shraddha is the safety net. But then what does that Shraddha do? It is itself comes under attack because of the force of the projections. Projections happen because of Shraddha, and then they undermine, they have the danger of undermining the very Shraddha. Which is why, what are we talking about? Shanti mantra. Which is why the Shanti mantras are of prime importance. Each time we chant, we have to mean it. Yeah. Because the teacher is not criticizing. Even though one is convinced that the teacher is critical, the teacher is not criticizing. And sometimes the teacher has to be critical, how else? Because teacher means you have to learn. And you can't always learn, everything is wonderful.
Good job.
Huh?
Good job.
Yeah, wonderful job. Not even good job is not enough anymore. Yeah, wonderful job. Great job. Sometimes the teacher has to say, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? I think I won't attend classes anymore. Are you out of your mind? That is what the teacher has to do. It's the job. It's part of the job description. And it's not a criticism. It's a waking up. It's a learning process. And you see, if the Shraddha is kept burning properly despite the transferences, the counter transferences, the projections, the dejection, because after projection what comes? Dejection. And then after dejection what comes? Rejection. So then as a result of the projection, dejection, rejection, I get depressed, suppressed, pressed, oppressed, then that is not the way. That is just giving in to the tantrums of the inner child who is in front of the toy store when you want to be in front of the bookstore. This is the whole problem. The child wants a mother and a father immediately, which it never thought it had. And the adult wants a teacher. How can the same person fulfill both the roles? Tell me. Not possible. And so therefore, the child wants a mother and father. It's not going to stop until it gets one. The teacher is not going to fulfill the role of the mother and the father. And even if the teacher were to, out of the kindness of the heart, fulfill it, it's just feeding the projections. Yeah. But then the child needs a mother, father. What to do? I'll give it to daycare. No. You cannot farm out your inner child to be parented by others. In fact, that's the main problem why this inner child came out. Because it was neglected and given to others. You cannot give it up for adoption. Nice try. Yeah. In fact, that's what marriage is all about. You think they are going to adopt your inner child and, baby it and raise it. But you don't understand that for every one inner child you have, they have 3. And then they expect you to be raising triplets. Then you say, oh my God, I was better off with that one. Yeah, that's why Swamiji says limited plus limited, doubly limited. Yeah, triply limited, quadruply limited. Yeah. So here, don't think you can farm out your inner child to friends and family. They are not good. They have their own fellows to take care of. Don't think you can give it up for adoption. Closed adoption. I never wanted to be contacted by you ever again. Some adoptions are open. There is the possibility of meeting the biological thing. So this inner child, I don't want to meet ever again. You core issue. I don't want you to come ever again and disturb me. Go away. That's not the way. Don't think you can give it up for adoption. Don't think you can force the teacher to adopt your inner child. That's not going to happen either. Yeah. So then what's the other option? You have to reparented yourself. Oh, no, I don't like you anymore. You see, that's exactly what I'm illustrating. You have to be the mother that the child never had. But I am the child. You are not the child. Here is where that identification. You are not the child, you are the adult. If you were the child, you come to class with a feeding bottle. You are not doing that. And a blankie. The security blankie, and everybody would be sitting in front of me, sucking the thumb and having a go with the feeding bottle once in a while and batting a toy in the break. You are not doing that. The one who is sitting in front of me is a full-grown adult. So therefore, the inner child has to be parented by you alone. And if you say, I am that child, that means there is an interface has happened between the child and the adult. There is an identification of the adult with the child. That's not what we want. What do we want? We want the integration of the child into the adult as the adult. We want the child to be embraced out of existence, literally, and merged into the adult. We don't want the adult to be merged into the child. That is disaster. Yeah. It's kind of like, even on the collective level, how we are talking, that every single thing is Brahman, but Brahman is not any one thing. So the inner child is what? Brahman. It is not Brahman, it is Brahman. But then, what? The adult is also Brahman. Correct? So the inner child is nothing but the leftover hangovers of childhood. Mithya, it's a shadow within a shadow. Mithya within Mithya. Already there is, Ishvara Srishti is Mithya. This is what is called Jiva Srishti. It is a shadow of the adult. But then, when the adult says eek after looking at the shadow, the adult has merged with the shadow. That is what has to be avoided. You keep in the place of the witness. So you have to parent it. Oh, but does it come with an instruction booklet? How to parent the inner child. DIY inner child parenting. No, although people have written books about it. There is one inner child workbook. Have you seen that? Recommend it highly. Yeah, but I don't know who is the... I heard that there were many such workbooks. I don't know which is the one I'm referring to. But there was one initially which came out, which is very nice. It's like a journaling of all the antics of the inner child, sort of separation. When you name it, you separate it from you. And so the journaling, dream work, inner child work, all this is there. And then therapy. All these are invaluable sadhana for preparing to coming to a place of unassailable Shraddha. And then and sometimes you don't have the strength to parent, at least in the beginning. So take them and let Bhagavan babysit them. Take them next door. Yeah. And then say, you who have allowed these wild seeds to populate my mind, take them. They are yours. Meaning what? I have given up on them. And that is okay. Allowing Bhagavan to babysit is okay. Why? Because you are Bhagavan. Yeah. So this is how one has to keep the Shraddha intact. Because the projections will come in a concerted long-term study and a committed study. But without the projections coming up, the study is not complete. Without the projections being resolved, the study is not complete. And in fact, there is no enlightenment without transference. Really. So you cannot say, if I just space out the time between classes, I'll be okay. Who is okay? That is also, inner child is not okay. You are also not okay because the adult is missing the classes and wondering, why did I make such an idiotic decision? The adult is not okay. The inner child, do you think it's okay? No. It's just having a field day elsewhere. That's all it is. So this is the worst block for Shraddha. Not that the projections come up. That's actually, like I told you, when you take the projections to the therapist is gleeful. Yeah. You have to become the inner therapist. So when the projections come, that means what? Ishvara is shining a flashlight and showing all the, lighting up the places of disenchantment, the cobwebs of fear and pain and sorrow, so that I know where to go and hug. That's what it is. I know where there is work needed. So this is a wonderful thing. And so therefore what? The Shanti mantra it helps. In fact, chanting of the Shanti mantra itself relieves a lot of these pitfalls. So having known the importance of the Shanti mantra, we're going to chant it again and begin the class. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karabhavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hey Bhagavan, may this study be blessed and freed of all obstacles in between the text, the students, in between the students, the teacher, and in any other situation, from within and without. May there be growing maturity to be able to see these projections, to witness them and to care for them with patience and strength. May the projections come in gentle, handleable forms, comely forms. May they not be difficult to deal with, and may they be very compliant and understanding when I, as the student, shower them with love and understanding. May I be in a place of learning always. May I be in right relationship to the text, to the teacher, to myself, to Ishvara, and may nothing have the power to swerve me from this knowledge, from the study of this text. May this text complete itself with grace of the lineage of Pujya Swamiji and of everything that all the ancient seers have brought to bear. May all their blessings come to us in the form of the Guru Parampara, the lineage of the Gurus, so that we are always in open minds, in a place of receptivity and learning, and so that the learning takes place without any obstacles at all. And may we have the viveka to deal with the obstacles as they come. May we have the strength to deal with the obstacles as they come. And may the blessings of Lord Ganesha be there with us always, so that the obstacles dissolve even before they have a chance to form. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That's not a translation, but it's just a Bhashya of Sahana Bhavatu. Bhashya text people don't have? You don't have? You don't have?
There's no transliterated.
Oh, okay. Just repeat best as you can. Om Namo Bhagavate
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vaivasvataya Mrityave
Vaivasvataya Mrityave
Brahma Vidyacharyaya
Brahma Vidyacharyaya
Nachiketa Secha.
Nachiketa Secha.
Oh, that's where this comes from. What we have been repeating. Yes, this is where it comes from. What a way to begin the Bhashya. Mangala Suchakam. Mangala Suchakam means Suchaka means that which notifies. And what does it notify? The agent of notification is called Suchaka. What does it notify? Mangalam, auspiciousness. Om. When you begin anything with Om, you immediately come home. That is the power of Om. Om is home. That is your real home. Om means Brahman. Om means Atma. Om means oneness. Om means oneness without the second. Jagat is Om. Brahman is Om. The Jagat coming out of Brahman is Om. In between there is no Jagat. In between the cycles of creation, what is Om. Everything that resolves into Om. So when you begin something with Om, it is sure to bless. And the blessings come in many ways. Mangala means, what is this Mangalam? What is this auspiciousness? It's very easy to say auspiciousness and go forward. But this is not the Arsha tradition doesn't gloss over things. That is what it is famous for. Arsha Vidya means that body of knowledge where no glossing over is permitted. So Mangalam means what? So many things are Mangalam from ice cream onwards. Ice cream Mangalam, cake Mangalam. So Mangalam blessing, Om, when I say, how does it bless? It blesses in many ways. The Ucharana, it is a sound symbol whose enunciation, Ucharana means enunciation, the very enunciation of which keeps all the obstacles that we have discussed and those we may not have discussed at bay. When you say Om, nothing comes. Yeah. So that is Mangalam. No wrong thoughts, no fears, no terrors. You try this. When you are feeling agitated, Om it out. Yeah. Om out the obstacles. Om your way through it. Just sit in a quiet place, say Om, Om, Om. And by the fifth Om, you will see that, I don't feel the same way again. What happened? This is the power of Om. That is why it's a blessing. Because it has the power to negate what is not. That is its blessing. How does it negate what it is not? By reaffirming the only thing which is. And what's the only thing which is? You. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Oh, but that's three things. That's one thing. It negates everything else by a forcible and by the most auspicious affirmation of Aham, I, which is really you. By affirming the I in such a wonderful and a soul way. I as Atma, soul way, pun intended. It dismisses all the not I's, which include feelings, peelings, and all kinds of things. That is why it is a blessing. And then when you begin something with Om, so it gives an auspiciousness for the, what is the word for it? The venture. Venture is blessed. Because by affirming, it's connected to what we said previously. By affirming the only thing there is, when I am able to abide fully in myself, whatever I do is blessed because it's coming from a place of Bhagavan. Because the only I that there is non-separate from Bhagavan. So what happens to all the do worship? Gone, because it is omed out. And then so any venture I take up, I do it from a place of relaxation, including the listening, including the teaching. Everything happens from a place of relaxation. And that I has merged into Om, which is Ishvara, which is a name for Ishvara, which is a name for Brahman. And so therefore there is no person here, rather I should say the person is here, sans the personality. So what are you studying about? Purusha, the cosmic being as yourself. Who is studying? Purusha. Who is teaching? Purusha. That is, Om is the name for Purusha. Purusha means person, without the personality. Personality means the jagged, ragged edges of the ragas and dveshas, the strong desires. So here, when you say Om, it invokes the person. I told you. And by negating everything else. It doesn't see anything else. No Jagat, no inner Jagat, no outer Jagat. You know. By reaffirming who you are, it invokes that in you. So it invokes the Purusha. Who is this Purusha now? The Purusha who is learning is the same as the Purusha who is teaching. And the Purusha who is streaming, it's all one and the same Purusha. It's the camera, everything is Purusha, 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 no? And so by this, all the projections, dejections, rejections are already kept in check by just one syllable. Om. That is why it is auspicious. Because it blesses the pursuit, it blesses the pursuer by affirming who the nature of the pursuer is. And how does it bless the pursuit? Because what is the pursuit? Om. Yeah. And this is going to be revealed later on. That is why Adi Shankara begins with the Bhashya with Om. Because this Upanishad is like a simpler version of the Mandukya. It's all about the Om. And Lord Yama, who is the teacher of this Upanishad, doesn't get much company because nobody goes there. Yeah. Kaun jayega? Nobody goes there. Nobody goes to visit. Yeah. Other than his wife, Yami, no one else is there to chat with. So when Nachiketa goes, he just becomes garrulous with happiness, with praise of Nachiketa because he is so happy. Who will go? That too a student. You know, very interesting prarabdha Yama has. Knows so much, but who will he teach? Everybody is afraid to go to him. Going to him means you immediately become disembodied. That's the whole thing. And who wants that? He's the minion or the deity in charge of death, as the story goes. And so nobody goes. And so he takes a while to come to the point and actually start the teaching. He praises the knowledge, he praises Nachiketa, he tries to distract him from the knowledge. And Nachiketa finally puts his foot down and says, "Come on, cough up the teaching now." And then when he gets to the point, by God, Lord Yama, there is no one like Lord Yama. He is the, what should I say? He is the embodiment, the murti of precision. And he says that knowledge for which everyone has hankered in life and for which the rishis have done tapas, austerities and ghora disciplines, frightening disciplines, standing on one leg in the Himalayas, etc., fasting for so many days, and desiring which people become brahmacharis or pursue this knowledge, live in ashrams and start this long-term study. I will tell you in brief what that is. And then, you're waiting, you're just, at the edge of the chair. Om ityetat. He's done. He just says it in one word. Om. That is why. To see, this is Adi Shankara. The connection there is just so brilliant. That the kernel of the teaching of this Upanishad is just Om, and everything that there is, all these 3 chapters and sub-chapters and everything is an elucidation for the uninitiated into this knowledge. Everything is Om, 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 Om. And everything is, first half is to prepare to know the Om, and the second half is to unpack the Om. That's all it is. So that's why he begins with Om. Meaning, may that Om, which is the pursuit, which is the truth of the pursuer, which is the truth of the book, which is the truth of what the book has to teach. May that Om become one with this Om. May that Om come home. And in other words, the greatest blessing is when the pursuit comes to an end. So when you begin properly, you can end properly, right? That is what the whole thing is. So when you begin a venture with Om, then all goes well. How do we know? Because when Lord Brahmaji created this universe, he said two words, two syllables. Om, Atha, because he was happy. Omkarascha Atha Shabdascha Dvau Etau Brahmanah Pura Dvavetau Brahmanah Pura Kantham Bhitva Viniryatau Tasmat Mangalikau Ubhau. Ubhau means these two. Mangalikau, Mangala Suchakau, Mangalikau. That they are, Om and Atha are associated with words of blessing, sounds of blessing. If you hear a blessing, that's what it's like. Om. Why? Why this association? Because when Bhagavan in the form of Brahmaji brought this whole Jagat into being pleased with his handiwork, Lord Brahmaji said, Om, Adha, and in fact he didn't plan to say them. He just he opened his mouth, Kantham Bhitva, and they just came out of his throat effortlessly. And look how nice this Jagat is. Yeah, well, you think it's nice. It is nice. It's a benign projection. It's wonderful. It's intelligent. And it's flawless. It's infallible. And so therefore, it's an infallible projection. And it is so neatly projected. And here, paradoxically, we chant Om, so that not only are we like Brahmaji, what are we here? We who are the creators of our own projections. May they come to light, may they dissolve. Yeah, may they resolve as effortlessly as Bhagavan brings up and dissolves the Jagat. Beautiful. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.